Previously on Break the Cycles. After more than 3.5 months on the road, I'm on the edge of Mexico and heading to the first Central America border crossing. It is becoming easier to find hostels to stay in as they're generally around $10. Couch surfing is still a great option with many people willing to host and show random strangers around. So after we, stayed together at the hostel in that with terrible little town, and we left pretty early because it was just disgusting. There are two ruins in this area when we left, and we kind of looked at it. One is Yachalan, and the other one is Bonaparte. Now, Yachalan actually requires us to take a boat to get there, and Bonaparte does not. So we only had time for one, so we go to Yachalan because it was more remote and it was a little bit more adventure thrilled because we get to ride the boat. So me and Wyndham rode to the parking area to get on the boat. It was completely empty, other than some local workers. And naturally, we're pretty concerned because we have to leave our bikes there. And everything, your whole livelihood is on the bike. Like your clothing, your cooking wear, literally everything is on the bike and your transportation. And we have to leave it there unattended for a few hours out of sight, and we're going to be gone. So it's totally possible that we can return. There's not even a bike there at all. But we realize there's nothing we can really do about it. So we decided that the best course of action is actually to park it in a very visible area. So, like, people will see it, and the likelihood that everybody's in on trying to steal something is much less likely than you park it in some shady corner and it disappears when you come back. So we parked it in like the most visible area, and we had both of our bikes strapped together with whatever locks we have, and we put the covers on them, and we just hope for the best. The boat ride was very nice. We're on this canal boat, and it took like 20 or 30 minutes before we actually got to get off the boat and get to the site. Right when we got there was a huge sign that says no drones. But as we venture into the forest, a quarter mile, like there was no one there. Like we had to keep walking in until we actually saw the ruin. It was very stunning. But it's also very clear that this place was very, very remote and not visited very often. And Wyndham and I kind of walked on the outside to the other side of the ruin, and there's even less people there. You don't even see workers there. So I took my drone out and took a chance. These shots were absolutely worth it. Of course, I was still kind of scared because even though there's nobody around, you might still be able to hear the drone go up. And if I was the only one there and there's a drone and we're leaving and they hear it, they're going to be like, take your drone out because we were the only people there. So I flew it up really quick, took some photos, videos, and then packed up and head out. Luckily, they didn't bother us. And when we got back to the parking lot, we were very happy that everything was as we left it. Our stuff was there, nobody touched it. It was fantastic. And ultimately, we ended our day at Tinosique and took a hostel. And that was like the closest town to the border that we could find. The next day, we headed towards the Guatemala border. We wanted to cross at a reasonable time because the border is only open till 5 p.m. So it was like a 9 to 5 p.m. opening. So we got to the border crossing at 10 a.m. on the Mexico side and calculated that even if it took forever, we would likely be on our way into the Guatemala side early afternoon. So I heard the border crossing in Central America is super chaotic, and there are a lot of people standing around. You watch the videos and then some photos online of people just crossing borders. There's all these people trying to help you out with a fee to fill out your paperwork, and they'll scam you some money or steal stuff on your bike, etc. And we were very on guard, right? But when we got to the border, again, there was nobody there. There was just a very remote border, and there was literally nobody there. And we parked very close to like the Mexico like transit building, and I walked in first to do the paperwork, and Wyndham stayed with the bike. We're still very cautious. I submitted my visa and my TVIP, and they stamped both of them. I walked in and walk out maybe 15 minutes, maybe even less. So then I go back to stand by the bike, and then Wyndham goes in. 15-minute goes by. Wyndham doesn't come out. Then 30-minute goes by. He still doesn't come out. And then finally I see him coming out, but his face says something else. So when he got to me, he told me that he forgot to get the visa for his bike, the TVIP. He only has the visa for himself. Now, there are a few scenarios when this happens when we read online. They can either, one, force you to go back to the border that you enter from, which is like at least a week rides up and another week ride back down, if you're lucky. And the second option is they could technically just take your bike because you smuggled the bike in illegally. And there are plenty of stories where people had to pay $3,000 to $4,000 to get back their bike because they didn't come in with a vehicle import permit. The manager told us to wait, and we discussed the possibility that women would have to ride back, meet me in Nicaragua or Costa Rica in a month or so. But given the situation, that's a big maybe because you have no idea what the road conditions are. And it was with the timing. I mean, like, there's rain, there's different weather condition. There's no guarantee that he will make it to that destination at that particular time. So we were about to just go deuces, and then I go my way, and then he has to figure it out. The manager came back out. He was like, "I can't do anything about the paperwork. You can't fill it out. You can't add it on, but I'm just gonna let you through." We were like, "What?" We were so shocked, but we were so excited. Like, we were like, "All right, cool, nice." So we got on our bike and headed to the Guatemala side. The Guatemala border is literally like 200 feet away. Like, it's literally like you can see it from the building that we were in. Like, it's just right around the corner. There's a massive gate, metal gate there. So we crossed the gate, parked our bike, and we were breath of sigh of relief that, okay, the worst is over. We will make it into Guatemala soon after we do our paperwork. We'll ride through. It's not even noon yet. We're doing fantastic. The Guatemala border is like this makeshift border. The buildings are all temporary, like they're trailers. There was not any proper electrical or water service. Like, it was just kind of like you got a bunch of trailer parked there and then like just plugged into stuff. Like, I don't know. It's the middle of the jungle. When we got into one of the trailers to do the paperwork, like, it was very sparse, but once we finished it, the guy told us just to go wait outside because he needs to process it online, and then he'll bring the paperwork out to us, and then we can go pay our fee after he processes it, and then we can go. So we did that, and then we went outside, and then we waited 30 minutes, and we didn't hear from him. We didn't even see him. So we went back inside. We were like, "What's going on? What's happening?" And then he told us, "Internet's down. So we have to wait." So I guess we didn't have any other choice. So we kind of just like sat there and chatted with some of the kids that were hanging out there. There's some other people that like came up behind us, and they all have to wait. Like, there was like, two cars in front, two cars behind us, and there are two bikes and a bunch of kids. Like, we were just all hanging out. Everybody went in to do their paperwork, and then we have to wait for it to be processed so that we can actually move forward. These are the guys that are waiting with us, and the guy in the white is the guy that operates the immigration. Right, the day was super hot, super humid. We were just sweating bullets, standing around, cooking in the sun, and 1 hour turned to two, then it was 3 p.m., and then it was 4 p.m., and then it was 5 p.m. The border is technically now closed. We watched them close the gate behind us, the big metal gate. They closed the Mexico side gate. And we're like, okay, so we can only go forward now, but whatever. We're not going back to Mexico, whatever. No problem. So we've been here, now it's like 5 o'clock. We've been here for, I don't know, 5 hours, 6 hours. And then we waited till 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock rolls around. They closed the Guatemala side as well. So Wyndham and I were like, do we need to pitch a tent here? Like, what is going on? Like, and then finally around like 6:15, they got the internet back again. And everyone quickly got processed. But not before they ran a little scam on us. We had to pay $7 something for a processing fee at the bank, which is another trailer on the side. So I paid my fee first and went to my bike. When Wyndham went to pay his, they told him that I didn't pay and he has to cover mine as well. And Wyndham ended up paying double. So he paid for mine, he didn't know. So when he came back, he was like, hey, I paid for you too. I was like, what do you mean? And then we realized we got scammed. So we turned around and looked at the dude who just scammed us. We're like, dude, you gonna seriously do that? And he was staring straight at us. And he was chatting with the security guy next to him that's holding the shotgun. Like, just straight up common thuggery. And we decided $7, not worth it. Whatever. We're gonna keep going.
Looks like we might be actually finally making it out of here. We just got internet back, and I think they're gonna open the door for us so that we can go through. But yeah, that took a long time.
We got on our way, but it was completely dark now. We're riding again, like pitch black in the middle of the night. This might actually be the worst night riding since, because this is like middle of the jungle, northern Guatemala. There's not even like well lit streets, much less street lights. Like, there's nothing. The streets are not well paved. The lights are not there. It's not really a street. It's kind of like this like dirt path within all this like houses. Like, not, they're like kind of shacks on the side of the road. Man, we rode through like that for hours because there was actually no town that we have found that actually had a hostel that we can stay in. And we can't even see where we were going. You can see in the video we have no idea where we're going, so we can see the road kind of, but there's no way for us to explore and figure out where we're going to camp. So we found this town like after 3 hours that had a restaurant and a hostel and a bank, right? And this town is called A2A Ch.
So we're finally at dinner. That took freaking forever. Yeah.
We're alive though.
Yeah, that was a really long day.
So the morning before we left, we found the local bank that we saw it on the map, and we wanted to do some money exchange. After we parked our bike, me and Wyndham took turns going inside the bank, and there was a security guard with a shotgun again, standing behind a glass door. All right, this is a theme that'll play itself over and over again. This guy holding a shotgun, standing inside the glass door. You get there, they looked at you. You look safe. They open the door. You come in. They close the door and lock it. And it was a complete total culture shock. Like, everybody had like loaded like street weapons, like just hanging out, like guarding the door. And it kind of reminded us that it was the right move for one of us to stay outside with our stuff, and then one of them to go in to do the cash, and then do that. So after we did our money exchange, we started heading south. There really weren't many well-paved roads in northern Guatemala. In fact, as soon as we left the town we were in, the road became dirt and gravel. There are varying degrees of gravel road in terms of roughness and maintenance throughout the morning ride south. When I say there's not a lot of paved roads, I mean when you pull up the map, the rocky road going south is the only road. So after many hours of bouncing on these gravel, rocky roads, we found a place called Semuc Champey, and it's getting closer to the afternoon now. So we thought, hey, maybe we should, do a visit, because we were kind of like on this path of let's go visit places that are not like that well known. It's not like a super tourist trap, So it's getting late in the afternoon. We thought maybe we could just ride over there and see if there's any hostels, and maybe we'll just stay here for the night because, it's a decent time for us to stop. We didn't want to ride at night anymore. This detour was like 15 miles, so it shouldn't take that long. So we kind of got off the main road and headed into the valley towards Semuc Champey. Then the road winds down and then winds up into the mountain range. The roads were concrete roads. It's kind of like they have like two tracks that are concrete, like broken pieces of concrete that follows your tires, right? If your car follows your tires. And they were pretty poorly maintained. And then the sides are either grass or like rocks or gravel, or whatever. But there's like two tracks for like a car tire. And it's okay since we're on bikes, so we just follow one track of the car tire going up. Except there's only one lane, and there's traffic going both directions. So when the car comes on the other side, you have to shift out of the way onto the gravel dirt track, outside of the paved concrete pad, and kind of squeeze by. Still not the end of the world because the cars are not that big, and there is plenty of room to kind of move over and then ride on alongside of it. But if you're on a steep incline and you have a car coming that is not moving away and trying to just stay on the concrete pad, then you run out of room on the edge. So I got forced off the road and I dropped it right on the steep hill going up. And there's nothing I could do. The guy saw that I dropped the bike after he like passed me, and he felt so bad. Like he stopped his car and then came running over to help me lift my bike up. It was nice of him, but like he could have just moved over. He has so much space, but he just like didn't want to move. And because the section was so steep, when I picked the bike up and there's so much weight because the bikes are loaded, like it took me a few tries to just like get enough traction to like go like up the up back onto the road so I can continue riding. Ultimately, we rode all the way in, wanted to see if there was like a hostel right at the attraction. When we got to the bridge, we found out from the locals that there's nothing further. Like once you cross over the bridge, there's a parking spot, and you basically had to walk in. So there's nothing past it. So we went back. We rode back for about like 1 mile, and we found the closest hostel that was closest to the bridge. And our plan was to head back to the bridge in the morning, ride in, and park at the entrance of Semuc Champey. Walk in, see the place, and then head south after. Now, the hostel was very sparse. And this was a really rough place. Like, the rooms are not really, like, there's no doors really, but there's a roof over the head. But, I mean, the beds are not really, like, the mattresses are not comfortable. It's just, it's not much better than camping, but there is a roof over your head. And there are running water so you can take a shower. So it's not nothing. And it was good because we parked our bikes underneath this like overhang as well, and it rained really hard overnight. So we were glad that we were dry and inside. The next morning, we go up the road back into the Semuc Champey. We cross over the bridge, and then we park there. And there was a trail once you get there that takes you all the way top to the vantage point to see the cascading swimming hole waterfall. And the trail was pretty darn steep. We were, or we were just really out of shape, one or the other. When we got to the top, super exhausted, like we were so shocked to see that there was some local old lady that carried like 50 coconuts up to sell them for like $1 at where we stopped. And of course, we all got coconut water. And the view on top was surreal. I mean, this was like an oasis in the middle of the jungle, natural oasis in the middle of the jungle with cascading level of waterfall swimming holes just kind of stacking on top of each other. It was absolutely gorgeous. So after coming down from the hike, we took a dip at various waterfalls along the way. When we were done for the day, we headed out towards Coban. But when we started headed out of Semuc Champey, we realized how much it rained last night because the roads were super muddy. And coming in and up and down these hills again when it's muddy and wet, I mean, it was a slippery mess. But we made it out to the main road. When we got to the main road, we started heading south. At first, we were riding like normal. And then Wyndham and I started to ride slower and slower and slower. And then we were going like 30 miles an hour, gripping on the handlebar in panic. And then finally, one of us asked each other over the intercom, "Is the road weird, or is something wrong with my bike? Or did I just not know how to ride anymore?" We were like shimmying around every corner, and we just feel like we were going to lose control of the bike. Like it was weird. So we looked down at the concrete and realized that the stones that were used to make the concrete pads are all on the surface now. So like all the little rocks are on the surface of the concrete all throughout the whole entire paved road. And all these little pebbles sticking out, been driven 1,000 times. Well, you guessed it, they are polished as anything you can be. We are literally riding on tiny little marbles, and our bikes were just sliding and skidding all over the place. It was weird for like 20 minutes. Like we clench our butt cheeks and then like ride like panicking for 20 minutes until we get past this area at like 30 miles an hour. And we finally made it to Coban. Coban is probably what I would consider the northernmost town that's connected to the actual highway that goes to Guatemala City. And we took a hostel there and then we called it a day. The next day, we headed south to the capital, Guatemala, and I found a couch surfer to host me, and Yesenia, who hosted me for 2 days. She took me around town, tried all kinds of different food and restaurants, a local food, and it was fantastic. And it was a much needed break from the several days of just really, really rough riding. Next time, we will enter El Salvador during the worst downpour yet.